Hello and welcome to Boomer Bust NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. We're approaching week 7 and tonight I'm your host Kieran. It's been a busy day in news in the UK. Liz Truss has walked and her tenure lasted just 4 days more than Tom Brady's retirement in the NFL. But in more important news, he's back. Shug, my co-host, how are you, mate?
Mike, I'm good, mate. Good. It's a nice wee holiday, a wee break, but glad to be back.
Break from a busy schedule. And what about Roberto and Boo stepping in for you? How do you think they done?
Listen, they were superb. I thought I was replaced for good, but nah, I'm back. They're out again.
Out the door, man. Not a problem.
Aye.
I know. So, good break, was it? All right?
It was good. It was good. Wee bit of sunshine. Got to enjoy yourself. Wee bit of family time. It was all good. Certainly tried to keep up with the NFL while I was gone, but the game's been on Sunday night. I was actually flying back when the games were on. So the minute we got to start to land and you got a wee bit of signal, I was checking my results. So, aye, great break, but good to be back.
Good. And I'm under the understanding you got a win.
I did, delighted with the victory. That's what I'm saying. I was a bit nervous on the flight when we took off. I was in control and was just waiting for confirmation I landed. So a good win for me last week. Beat Jordan, who was flying high before. So I'm now 3-3. So it's going all right. The Cheetah, CMC, and Lazard all stepping up for me and getting the result.
Good to hear the boys turned up for you. And mate, it wasn't so good for me, right? I spoke about it on Monday night. We were what do you call it? There was 2 points in it between me and Steve-O. The late night game on the Sunday night, I had Devonta Smith playing. He had AJ Brown playing. They both went head to head. He went into the Broncos game with 2 points ahead. I had Melvin Gordon. I had the Broncos defence. I think if anybody's watching now, they know how this is going. And he had Cortland Sutton to play. Melvin Gordon, man, I woke up, that way during the night that we speak about, like just subconsciously wake up to check the score at like 4 o'clock. See, when I seen 0.8 points, I was like, this must be a joke. Something's not right here. Absolutely raging, man. I couldn't believe it. 0.8 points. Oh,
Who was it that gave you Melvin Gordon as well?
You're a rat.
No. I was quite disappointed myself after that. I thought that was a mistake letting him go. He's actually going to get a decent number of points for the next few weeks, and then he delivers that. So that's what happens when you deal with the devil.
You could get a job down the bars, mate. Probably nobody will know what that means if it's American listeners, but that's a market in Glasgow where plenty of counterfeit goods are sold. But now we'll not dwell on it too long. I'm now sitting 3-3. Are you the same, 3-3?
3-3. I think our loads are quite tight. There's a good few of us sitting on 3-3, so could go anyway this season, couldn't it? I was 0-2 at the start, got it back, lost the week before last, and then so no, it could go either way for any. I think everybody's quite even, to be honest.
He's clawed it back, man. But in terms of Melvin Gordon, I've been seeing the day that it's been announced he'll be the starter this week, and then I've seen it's been announced today that it'll be a running back by committee. So I'm now sitting like, do I start him? Do I take the risk again? Because on paper, this looked like the guy was just going to be like the number one choice with a slight backup, and it would be a case of Latavius Murray or Boone picking up the pieces for what he couldn't do.
Exactly. I mean, I thought I maybe made a mistake trading him to you. He's not really produced there, but still, as you said, you're still in that dilemma. Aren't you? Run backs are hard to come by. So do you go back in a trade or do you stick with?
Stick or twist? I'm not sure. I really don't know. It would be a case of selling low on this one, but I think there's a bigger upside in keeping him because he could come good,
Aye.
and who knows? Like, he might get traded away. Like, the trade deadline's coming up, and there's a lot of noise that he might get traded away. So who knows? You might end up having him back.
No thanks. No receipts. No returns.
Anyway, we'll not hang around. And a quick shout out in the background, we've got producer David pulling all the strings, so all the graphics and stuff that you see is all his hard work and it looks fantastic, doesn't it, Craig?
Yeah, looks so professional. So it's a lot to take in, but it's top quality. Taking the podcast to the next level.
That's the only thing that looks professional on this screen.
Oh, it's putting me right under pressure because I've got absolutely no clue, and he's putting all these fancy graphics, put so much effort in, and I'm going to just talk a load of mince. So,
and a big shout out to one of our regular viewers, Stephen Waugh, who got married at the weekend to Kirsty. So he's, I know he'll be tuning in and he comments regularly. So he's a 49ers fan. So with all the injuries, it's maybe not been so good for him. So good to get something to celebrate about after a while.
aye, congratulations, Biggie.
That's what I was looking for. Anyway, we'll move on to
He's
NFL.
not in a trade market anytime soon.
Aye, he'll be shutting your door. Anyway, right, we'll move on. Looking forward to week 7, okay? And you're going to be proud of this, I've done this, right? We're going to go into our start-em sit-ems, right? So, first up, right, you ready for this? I know you love a pun, mate. My first,
Yep.
Raheem MustStart. Nah?
Nah, you've relished the opportunity.
You're a slippery customer. Anyway, my first start tonight. I spoke about Highline Monday night. I am loving him. I acquired him in a trade last week. Kenneth Walker III. Honestly, King Kenny. He's done the business for me. 19 points last week versus Arizona. I think he's still got more in him. He's projected for 15.44 this coming week against the number 29 defence against the run in the LA Chargers. Seahawks are starting to look good, sneaky good. None of us predicted this in the pre-season. But Kenneth Walker, I'm not sure if you caught a glimpse of him at the weekend. He was brilliant, mate.
Aye. As you said, Seahawks start the season. We were kind of talking them down quite a bit, and it feels like every couple of weeks anyway, we're kind of talking them up now. The likes of Kenneth Walker and Metcalf have produced this season.
Yeah, definitely. But we'll move on to yours. Who is your first Raheem MustStart?
My first is Lazard. He's continually producing the goods for me just now. At the time I traded him, I brought him in. Fair to say, there was kind of criticism of him. There was kind of doubts of how his season was going to go. The last couple of weeks, he's producing the points for me. So he's a must-have in your starting team.
I like him. I actually tried to get him from you and you knocked me back. What's going on there?
That was a disgrace, I trade. Treat me with some respect.
Put some respect in your name. But no, the reason I done it was because Randall Cobb's now out. He's injured. So for me, Alan Lazard comes into that sort of WR1 spot. I know that it was his anyway, but sometimes it's a wee bit of a lottery in Green Bay. Rodgers just isn't firing all cylinders. And I know last week Bobby spoke a lot about the run game, that Aaron Jones hasn't done it, Dylan hasn't done it. It's just, it's a funny one, but Lazard's maybe the only one that's really done it at Green Bay.
Yeah, last couple of weeks he's really been producing. As you can see, his points are good. He's a must-have in my team.
Yeah, there's no way you trade him.
Step into my office and we'll see.
That door's never locked.
I always roll the dice. Everybody has a price.
The $1 million man. we should put that as a theme tune the next introduction.
Listen, I'm always wanting to do some business.
I know. But yeah, if you thought my last pun was good or bad, I don't know how you're going to look at it. We're going to move on to the sit-ems, right? So, who is your first Jarrett Stidham?
Oh, fuck.
That is atrocious.
You've got lost since I was away.
Oh wait,
no,
in fact, I'll tell you what. That was that bad. I'll go first. Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Another guy I gave away, Jerry Judy. All right. He is my first Jarrett Stidham. That's absolutely terrible. I can't believe we went live for the first time and I've hit out with that. JJ, double J. As bad as my puns, the Broncos are just as bad. They've looked awful, and Judy's been a part of that. I don't know if it comes down to Russell Wilson, and I know that Wilson's now got a hamstring injury, which he's trying to say he's going to come back to because he's got some sort of healing power through Wolverine blood. I mean, talk like that's as bad as he's been this year. That sums him up.
Aye.
But no,
Broncos have been close.
I know. It's like we talk about we didn't see it coming for the Seahawks, but we didn't see this coming for the Broncos.
No,
All the talk was
no,
like draft one of Judy, Tim Patrick, Cortland Sutton, and it's like get rid of any one of them. Obviously, apart with Tim Patrick.
no. I think in fairness, I think before I went off on holiday, that's when I knew I needed a break. I went Russell Wilson, remember, as my starter. And the game was
So
literally
you did.
the game was about to kick off, and I spoke about how this is his turning point. He's going to have a big night, and then I woke up to the headlines about him getting booed off the field.
Mate. Yeah, you got off. You got off scot free with that because you went
I
out on a
know,
pod
just
afterwards.
left the country as soon as I put that prediction in.
You laid an egg, jumped in a flight, and went. But now, in terms of Judy, 8.3 and 8.4 respectively in his last two games. That's not good enough. See, even for a flex, if you want 10 points upwards for your wide receiver in a full PPR league, the two games as well, you get 8 points and eight targets and 7 targets. That's still not good enough. It's not the sort of production that you're looking for. It is round about where I kind of look. I more look double figures in my higher end wide receivers. For Judy, it should be more. This week he's up against the Jets, who are a solid side. I expect him to get very little change out of Sauce Gardner, who's been one of the best cornerbacks in the league this year. So that's why my first sitting for this week is Jerry Judy. Who have you got, mate?
I'm going to go my first sit-em, and listen, I struggle to even say this because when I was struggling, he produced the goods for me. But it's my quarterback, Goff. He's had an up and down season. He's had two incredible games, and then the rest is he's either fell off a cliff or it's been really, really average. So you don't really know what you're going to get each week from him in terms of fantasy points. As you see, week 5.86 points. I expect him to really struggle, especially against the Cowboys. They're allowing just 12.5 fantasy points to quarterbacks. So look at those averages. Got other options at quarterback. Goff for me doesn't start.
Yeah, I think in terms of, like you said, the Cowboys, they're not allowing a lot of points to quarterbacks. That comes down to them having Micah Parsons, where the quarterback's not getting as much time on the ball and they're just running it. So I expect to see a lot in the run game there. I know DeAndre Swift might be back for them. But it's funny, right? Because you sent me this earlier on, it would be Jared Goff, and I went in to try and pick away your players to see who I could trade for. You still got them in your start lineup, mate, so I'd go and have a look
I
at
know, I
that.
was just about to say that. He'll be going out and Kirk Cousins will be coming in. Or we might shuffle the packs, might bring in a trade. But I noticed that I've not actually tweaked my team. I'm maybe playing my cards close to my chest there. But Goff
Nice,
have a seat.
mate, nice. Fan Goff. He's not painting any pictures this week in your team. Anyway, sticking with the Cowboys there's a man in that team who's my second starting for this week, and it's Ezekiel Elliott. All right, I know a lot of people have been doubting him this year. It's not been the classic Elliott that we all know, but I think this is a game he's starting to get going. Look, last week against the Eagles, he scored 15.6 fantasy points. The Lions, who they're up against this week, are number 31 against the run, and they're leaking points left, right, and centre. So for me, Ezekiel Elliott becomes my starting for this week. I know it's running back by committee. There's a two-headed monster at the Cowboys with Tony Pollard, but I think it's Elliott's time. I think Dak's coming back. He'll probably be announced as a starter in the next couple of days. He's Dak's boy. He's going to get everything. All right, he's running back 27 at the moment, but he's going to climb. He'll start to kick on with Dak Prescott back.
Yep, hard to disagree with that one.
Yeah. So let's see who have we got next on your card for your next start, Shug.
For me, I'm going out there a bit. This might cause a bit of controversy, but I'm going Tua.
Love it.
Now, looks as if he'll be back. A lot of people writing him off, saying his season was done. A lot of doctors in our chat that had him diagnosed with never playing again. It looks as if he'll be back. Listen, I think the guy had a fantastic start to the season. The Dolphins, obviously they've struggled without him. Him coming back in is huge. I can see him. I don't rate the Steelers highly. I think he will come back and get a few points on the board, so he's my starter.
Yeah, you're 100% bang on the money there. And I think you can tell how good someone is when they're out the team, if that makes sense, because
Yeah,
the Dolphins have looked terrible without him. It's just, he is the sort
100%.
of, he's the glue that holds that offense together, and he activates guys like Hill and Waddle round about him.
Yeah.
We could see it going this way. But yeah, I completely agree with you. And who's got him? Is he out there in waivers just now? Can you get him?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure who's got him. We'll have a wee look. But you're right. The Dolphins looked as if they were flying the start to the season. He got his injury, and it kind of fell backwards a bit. But he's back. We've spoken about him a lot since the start of the season. Would he have a good season? Would he not? And he's answered the critics early doors. So let's hope we can get back on track and get the Dolphins season back up and running. I predict he will.
Yeah, fingers crossed, because he's good to watch when he's on his game. But now I'm going to move on to my second sit-em, okay? And it's going to be DJ Moore of the Panthers. In terms of Moore, where do I start with him? This was a guy that offered so much promise in pre-season when we were saying, right, he's going to be the guy there, because who else do they have to throw to? And the Panthers have just been a car crash this year, from sacking their manager to now Baker Mayfield being out. CMC, we're not quite sure what's happening. He might get traded away, probably will get traded away, and they're probably going to rip it up and start again. And I've actually seen a lot of Panthers fans saying, I really hope Sam Darnold doesn't come in and start to win games and we miss out on a franchise quarterback in the draft. So I can very much see them tanking this year, and it's probably not going to be a productive offense. Last game with PJ Walker at quarterback, and I think it'll stay that way this week. I know Darnold's off IR, but I think it'll still be PJ Walker at quarterback. He scored 3.7 points. That's game losing stuff if you've got him in your team.
Mm-hmm.
Coming into the week as well, looking at who they're up against, the Bucks, they're a sturdy defense. Doesn't give them much points up against like the sort of bottom half teams. The elite teams, yes, they'll give up a few points here and there, but against teams like the Panthers, they're not giving up many points. So DJ Moore, I'd be sticking on the bench and just forgetting about it for now.
Nah, get him in the bin.
Right in the bin. That DJ's not putting any tracks on this week. But nah, you're up. Who's your second sit-em?
I've went Robert Woods. I'm not going into the Woods this weekend. Up against the Colts, they don't give a lot away to wide receivers, so I can't really see. He's not exactly been tearing it up. You'll see from that 7.7 points last week he played. He's not offering you much, is he? So as I said, the Colts, I can't see him getting much joy against them. So get Woodsy, chop him down.
That's it. The sheriff on the bench. You'd be better with Buzz. Anyway, fantasy news, right? This is one I've been waiting on. DeAndre Hopkins is back.
Yeah.
A lot of guys listening here, fantasy owners, DeAndre Hopkins will be rubbing their hands because things have fell into place for them. I mean, it's one where they've drafted him in, they've stashed him on the bench. We're now into week 7. It's not like he's been injured, he's been suspended, so he's fresh, he's ready to go, and it couldn't come at a better time for the Cardinals. So one of these ones, you're just putting him in your starting lineup, and that's that.
Yeah, it's a timely return from. I mean, like anybody that's been out for a while, you don't really know what you're going to get. But I think with him, you probably roll the dice. If you stashed him, you get him right back in your starting lineup. To be honest, with the way the time's worked out, and he's straight back in there.
Yeah, and you look at, we've not got anything to go on by this season so far, but last season, 10 games, and he averaged 14.7 points per game. That is exactly what you're looking for in your wide receiver. That's WR1, WR2 sort of stuff there. And we all know how good he can be on his day. He's a threat all over the field. 8 touchdowns last year from 64 targets, brilliant numbers, 572 yards. So no, and like I mentioned there, and I hinted at, the timing's perfect with Marquise Brown going down with an injury last week. They thought he would be out for the season. It looks like it could be somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks. Now, it's a shame for Cardinals fans because having these two guys in the field would have been unbelievable for them. It would have been hard to cover both of them, but do you think that's a big miss, or do you think they'll still do all right?
I think they'll still do all right with Hopkins coming back in, but it does, if they had, as you said, if they had both those weapons available, it sort of gives Hopkins a wee bit more leeway to kind of settle back in and get back up to speed. But so it'll be a bit of a miss, but DeAndre Hopkins coming in as a big boost for there, so it could work out all right for them.
Yeah, and if you've seen on the screen at the bottom there, it's ridiculous how close the sort of statistics are between Hopkins from last year, Marquise Brown to this year. Aside from the touchdowns, exact same targets. Yardage for Hopkins is a lot more, but very close. And for me, like, Marquise Brown was one of the only plug-and-play wide receivers so far this season where he was consistent every single week with his fantasy numbers, averaging 18.2, which is very good numbers. But something which might change things at Arizona is they've traded and brought in Robbie Anderson. Are you going out to get him, or do you think he's fantasy efficient at this point?
Nah, I don't, to be honest with you. I think they brought him in more as a insurance policy. I don't really see him throwing up big numbers for you. For me, he's not relevant. I wouldn't be touching him, to be honest with you, with the season he's had and what he's now offering. I looked at him the other day and I don't see a point in adding him, to be honest.
Nah, me neither. With that Barnett, not a chance.
No, the spider.
The spider. Have you ever seen, what's that spoof of Boys in the Hood? Is it Don't Get Caught Sipping Juice in the Hood?
Aye.
The guy's he's got Johnny's in his cell, that's him. But now I'm on the same boat as you with that one. I'm not going to pick him up off waivers. He's one of these guys you always see him lurking about waivers like week 12, 13, 14. And you're kind of like trying to convince yourself if he's good enough to pick up, and he's not. He's a deep threat. He'll have that one explosive game every now and again, and that'll be it. Yeah. Rondale Moore seems to be the wide receiver too that's really broke through at the Cardinals just now. If he's on your waivers, go and get him. I don't think he'll be too available, but Rondale Moore seems to have really turned up there.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the Cardinals aren't a great team at the moment. But nah, more news. One of your guys, Mike Williams, the man I gave you for Melvin Gordon.
Yep.
Do you think he's still fantasy relevant with the fact that Keenan Allen's now back?
So, no, as a quite honest answer, I think his relevance has went right down. Obviously, you'll see by his points, even last week, 3.7. He's going to be on the way out. Keenan Allen is a big presence for them coming back in. Expect Mike Williams to get a lot less points. So he's done me well in the short term, but probably are going to have to look elsewhere, to be honest, as Keenan Allen comes back into it.
Yeah, the thing with Mike Williams is very inconsistent, and I picked up a stat from Twitter earlier that in the 6 games this season so far, he's had 3 games over 100 yards, which is what you're after, but he's also had 3 games under 20 yards, which you're looking for reliable wide receivers, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
So Mike Williams is very much on the name of this podcast. He is boom or bust in a nutshell. And we look ahead, he's up against, in his next game, Tyreek Woolen, who's a very, very good defensive player. He's not going to get much of a sniff there. Josh Palmer outscored him on Monday night as well. It's very much stick or twist with Williams at this point, especially if Allen's back, because he becomes that out-and-out wide receiver one there.
I don't want to be too negative with Mike Williams because I'll be trying to trade him to somebody, so I should really be talking him up. So no, I think he's really relevant. I think you can see him getting a lot of points this week, and I'd be sad to see him go for my team.
Yeah, I've shot myself on the foot so many times. It's probably why I'm sitting 9th out of 12 teams in our league. So, Mike Williams. But now another mover and shaker around the league. Desean Jackson going to the Ravens. This is quite a weird one. This guy's not played football since last year. They've picked him up off free agency.
Yep.
Are you going to look for him in the waiver wire to pick him up, or is this another one that's just not really ticking the boxes?
To be honest, I think he still can produce. So I think if you get him, if you have space on the bench, I don't see the harm in bringing him in and possibly stashing him, possibly using him a bit. Will he get the volume over the piece to make him a real starter, a real key player for you? Probably not. But I think he's one of those ones that's maybe worth a punt. Yeah,
for me, nah, I've got to disagree with you there. no wide receivers at the Ravens have been standouts in fantasy this season. I know Marquise Brown left and he was the guy last year. There's not really been a standout guy so far. Deshaun Watson, he's maybe known to have one or two huge games this season, then just pick up an injury and disappear until he pops up at his next team. So for me, I'm not going out there and getting him. Nah, definitely not. He's not my favourite Jackson, if we're being honest, but I've just seen a question on the live. Who is Lamar?
Damn Jackson.
Darren. But I've seen a question on the YouTube stream here. Why did you get rid of that Roberto boy? He was much better than Shug, and that comes from Jamie McRae, aka Toasty. Can we get a response to that, Craig?
Right. Block that guy.
Block that guy.
He's an absolute fool.
He's a pest.
He's an absolute
fool. He tried to give me Desean Jackson this week for Curtis Samuel. I think he honestly.
I just go and reject his trades now, to be honest. But I do probably agree with him that Roberto has much more knowledge of me and is probably 100% better. But when Toasty's saying it doesn't carry the credibility for me.
It certainly doesn't, But we'll move on. Next bit of news, I'm looking at Taylor Heinike, who's going to fill in for Carson Wentz. He's broke his pinky finger. No, he's not, his ring finger, sorry. It's going to require surgery, so he's out for at least 6 weeks. Now, Wentz, like we said, started like a house on fire, fell off a cliff. He's not recovered. Yeah. Maybe quite a timely change for the Commanders at this point. Does this make their offense now, or well, I'll put that in a better way, does this bring their wide receivers back into relevance, or is it more that their running backs are going to have more of a say under Taylor Heinike?
I think the running backs are probably going to have more of a say. You know what I think about the Commanders, though?
Go for it.
Dog shit.
Dog meat.
Sorry, dog meat.
Nah, but looking at Taylor Heinike just in isolation there, that back to last season, he had something like, let's see, an average of 13.9 fantasy points, 222.86 points over the piece. Coming in for Carson Wentz, probably couldn't do much worse, but you're 100% on the money there. I think the running backs are going to step up. When I look at the running backs last year, Antonio Gibson, he had a few plus 20-point games with Heinike at quarterback, and that's what you're wanting out of a running back. Heinike, when you think back to last year, his style where he's sort of running around, a lot of the work's been done by his legs and not very much by his arms, because I think at best he had 2 games, which was 3 touchdowns. Every other game you were talking 2 touchdowns, 1 throwing touchdown. That's not good for wide receivers, but you're rubbing your hands if you have got Antonio Gibson or, in my case, Brian Robinson, who's going to be the running back there.
Totally agree.
And you're totally binning off Carson Wentz at this point. There's even a chance Heinike could take his job.
I wouldn't be too surprised. As you said, he's fallen off a cliff and now he's got the injury, so there's no reason why not.
Yeah. Let's have a wee look around the league elsewhere. The New Orleans Saints have already announced that tonight's game, we're recording this on Thursday for anyone that's not watching or listening live, Jarvis, Landry and Michael Thomas are already out. Does this make way for the Alvin Kamara show?
It does. He's a guy I've always rated. I've wanted in my team. I had him earlier this season though, and to be honest, the Saints really frustrated me this year. I've had Landry, I think I've still got Landry in my squad just now, but just not really produced, have they? But you're right, it does heavily rely on Kamara, so you can see his points being really strong tonight. I hope not, because I traded him to Drew. I've got no idea if he's still there or if he's made his way elsewhere, but it's going to be more very, very reliant on Kamara now, the Saints. As I said, they have disappointed so far. But could he light it up tonight?
I think he might. I know I spoke about, when you look at the run game, I know that Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston carry no designation, but there's no been real announcement of who's going to be the QB1 there, and they'll probably keep us guessing. I thought they looked better with Dalton, and when I say better, it's probably not hard to beat what Jameis Winston done there. Taysom Hill floats in and out, the fantasy fraudster that he is. But no, I really like Kamara there. I think he's really stepped up, and one man who I have as well, and I'm delighted I've held on to him. You actually gave me him for Jarvis Landry, was Chris Olave before we had even thrown a ball. I think in terms of air yards, he's got more air yards than any other player in the league at the moment. So it's going to be Kamara, it's going to be Olave, or it's going to be both. But I think we're in for a good game.
I did kind of regret letting Olave go.
Olaf.
Big Olive Garden.
What movie's Olaf again? Is it Frozen?
Frozen, aye.
Bet you've seen that a few times.
Aye, both. Frozen 1, Frozen 2. Could play a
Man,
part in them.
Hopefully the quarterback throws some passes towards Olaf. That didn't even come out right, but you got it. I think that's pretty much covered. Look, all the news there. I know Cam Akers is out the door. You happy to see him go?
Oh, I hate that guy. No time for him.
Poisonous attitude. You and Sean McVay seen it coming.
Well, I tell you what, my team's not looked back since we got rid of him.
Yeah, you're probably right. When you look at it on paper, you're probably bang on the money there that he's went. So let's see, Jeb Armstrong. Right, here's a good one. Should I trade Jonathan Taylor and Cortland Sutton for Joe Mixon and AJ Brown? Ooh. I'm going to say yes.
I would agree with Mixon. I think that's a decent deal there.
Yeah, I think that I'm going to strongly agree there because in terms of, well, Toasty's obviously said no because God knows why. Anyway, Jonathan Taylor is floating about this injury. He didn't miss so many games, and how long he was called the Iron Man. The first training session he missed was 2 weeks ago, so I don't think that ankles has healed as much as they're making out. Cortland Sutton has disappointed for me. Anyone on that Broncos offense should be looking to shift. I'm even saying that, considering that I've got Jerry Jeudy. Oh no, I had Jerry Jeudy. I have got Melvin Gordon. So I'll be looking to get him out the door. Joe Mixon starting to get going. I've went back. The Bengals are starting to look good again. And AJ Brown, anybody on that Eagles offense you're taking. So what are we giving it? A resounding thumbs up. Jonathan Taylor and Cortland Sutton.
Yep. Take Joe the deal, Mixon. Roll with dice.
Yep, that's it. The other man, you'd trade anybody, so let's be honest. Resounding thumbs up from us, but I know. Aye. That's all the sort of fantasy news out the road, so let's go on. Quick fire predictions tonight. New Orleans Saints at the Arizona Cardinals. Who are you taking?
I'm going to go the Cardinals here. As we spoke about, Saints will have struggled at points, and with those guys missing, I think the Cardinals will beat them.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree. I'm going to go the Saints. I much prefer the Saints in this one. I know they've got injury problems, but they've also got a sort of collective of quarterbacks back. I thought Mark Ingram looked okay last week for the Saints. Kamara's really starting to get going. We're seeing the old Kamara in there, the proper fantasy football Kamara. So Saints for me. All right. Next game up, Indianapolis Colts going to the Titans. Now, Indianapolis Colts scored big last week. If I'm right in saying just not even looking at anything, what's his face quarterback Matt Ryan scored over 30 fantasy points last year. You're not even expecting that for him. So I am thinking for him, I'm going to go a Colts win. I don't know why, but I think a Colts win.
I went with the same. I was toying between the two as well, but I'm going to go Colts win as well.
I know. I just think, see, when I watch the games and I think back to my predictions when we do these, I just think I always pick the predictable ones, and there's always a couple of shock results in there, especially last week. There was something like 4 shock results. So I'm going to go Colts for this one. But the early game, the 6 o'clock game, UK time, Cleveland Browns are at the Baltimore Ravens. That's the one that's been shown in Sky Sports. Who are you liking here, Shug?
Again, that's one I'm not sure about. The Browns have been sloppy through away a few games, so that's why, and I quite like the look of the Ravens a lot of games this season, so I'm going to go with Ravens win.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on this one. I'm going to go Ravens as well. I think they're starting to look good. They've now got Kenyon Drake starting to look the part at running back. I really hope Lamar Jackson steps up for me at quarterback. He's still QB number 2 at the moment, which is good. But the past couple of weeks, it's not been the Lamar Jackson that we know. So I hope he runs all over that Browns team. Browns have been sneaky good. Amari Cooper's been good. Nick Chubb disappointed last week. Baltimore's a hard place to go as well. I think it'll be a good game, but I'm going to go the Ravens with you as well. Team I just spoke about there, the Cincinnati Bengals, they're at home to the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I know the Falcons as well have been good. Mariota's been really impressive, but I thought the Bengals were one of the standout teams last week, and that's why I'm going to Cincinnati Bengals. Now, a lot of people will be asking sort of who do you start out that Bengals wide receiving corps at the moment, apart from Jamar Chase. I'm not really sure between Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins, but Joe Mixon, we spoke to Will Gavin about it on Monday night. Very touchdown dependent at the moment, but I'm really liking the Bengals to score a lot of points here.
I'm going to agree with you again. Bengals have got down to win.
Yeah. I'll butt in here a wee second because we're getting a lot of questions coming at the moment. Super CNB Challengers is asking, are you answering start sits? Throw them at us. We are not experts. You can go with what we say, but please hit us back if we get them wrong. But Roberto Perez, the man that was holding your seat, or one of the men, should I say, has asked, what two do I start from? Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Alec Pierce, or Tony Pollard?
I don't speak Spanish.
Give me two out of them. Ron Burgundy.
I'm going to go... On you go.
You go first.
I'm going to go... Pollard's going to be one of mine.
Yep.
And who was his other ones?
Alec Pierce, Drake London, or Garrett Wilson?
Garrett Wilson.
I'm going to disagree with you there. I think he's just completely fell out the fray at the Jets since Zach Wilson came back in at quarterback. I'm loving Alec Pierce at the Colts. They're putting up good numbers since he's established that relationship with... why do I keep forgetting his name? Matt Ryan. So, right, we'll go a wee collective here. So, we'll go Alec Pierce and Tony Pollard, mate.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so Super CNB, PPR, he needs a flex, right? And there's one name right at the start here, and I'm going to tell him that that's who it is. He's saying Olave, Mike Williams, Christian Kirk, Eno Benjamin, or Raheem MustStart, right? For me, right, Mike Williams, I've already spoke about it. Keenan Allen's back, or looks like he's back in full training.
Yeah.
Christian Kirk has completely fell off a cliff. You get rid of him at the right time.
I traded Christian Kirk. He was hot property. Drew was desperate to get him, and he's not really. He's, as you said, he's fell off a cliff recently. I'd go Olave out of that list.
Yep. I'm 100% going Olave as well. We've already spoke about it, with the fact that Michael Thomas is out, Jarvis Landry's out, maybe Traquan Smith might have a sneaky good game, but Olave goes straight into wide receiver one there. He's ahead by a mile on air yards for the Saints at the moment, so Olave, no-brainer there. Black Jedi, would you trade?
I don't know who that is.
He's your father. Cooper Kupp and Walker, all right, for Diggs and Jacobs.
Oh,
that's a tough one, man. I think that's a roll the dice one. I think that's a very fair trade.
That's a tough one. Cooper Kupp is all we aim for, really. He's one you want to stick with, but I don't know. I don't know if I'd let Diggs go if I had Diggs.
Do you know what? I'm going to put my cards on the table here. I am going to say hold on to Cooper Kupp and Kenny Walker. Right, Walker looks brilliant. Kupp has been good. I don't think that the Rams are going to be that bad for that long. Diggs is maybe going to see, I say this all the time and then it shoots me in the foot because I've got Gabe Davis. Gibbs is maybe going to see Diggs is maybe going to see more of a target with Gabe Davis. Well, there's blame, there's a claim. Josh Jacobs, I'm not his greatest fan, if I'm being honest. Keep Cooper Kupp, keep Walker. Walker, I heard on another podcast with experts, absolutely not us, that he could be a league winner. That is the guy you want to be. That's the guy you want to be holding on to. I'm telling you, Kenny Walker. And a wee thank you there for Super CNB Challengers. We appreciate your comments as well, so thank you for getting involved in it, and we're enjoying them. Keep the comments and questions coming. We'll rattle through the rest of these predictions. So let's see, we'll move on. I think the next one's a no-brainer. Tampa Bay going to the Carolina Panthers. Bucks all day for me. Leonard Fournette's looking good. White coming in at RB2's looking good there. Mike Evans, Godwin looking apart. Brady's getting going. He's announced today there's no plans to retire again. Maybe plans to divorce. Who knows? We'll see what comes of that. But yeah, Bucks all day by a mile for me. Any fantasy players you've got in the Bucks have got to start this week.
Yeah, no point wasting too much time in that. Bucks are going to win that one.
100%. So let's move on. Detroit Lions. We bye week last week. They're at the Dallas Cowboys. Who are you fancying?
Cowboys win for me. I think the Cowboys are getting a bit stronger. Obviously, news the Dak coming back in as well. We spoke about Ezekiel Elliott earlier. I fancy Cowboys here.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree here. I'm gonna go the Lions. I like the Lions coming fresh off a bye week. The Cowboys, I'm not
can't
really
just keep
sure.
predicting the Lions just because there's a TV programme about them.
Right, okay, I'll go Sunderland. Anyway, right, I tell you what, Wrexham are going to win here by 10. The Lions for me, they're starting to get guys like, I think Amon-Ra St. Brown's back. I think they're starting to look good. I know Josh Reynolds is out, but he was only backup for Amon-Ra. For me, I'm going to take the Lions. I just think with the Cowboys, the Lions have got a good run game. It's going to be a high-scoring game. Both teams have got good offences. But the Cowboys, I'm just not sure if Dak's ready. That's if he's announced as a starter, because at the moment he's not been announced as a starter. But yeah, I'm going to go the Lions. You can go the Cowboys. I'll go the Lions. Right?
Okay.
We could have had someone called the Indians, Detroit Indians. Next one, New York Giants at the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm not even going to give you a projection for this because you know what I'm going to say, don't you?
I'm going to agree with you. I think the Giants will continue this run. I think you've said it to death, though. Nobody giving them the respect they deserve. And you're quite right. Giants to keep the run going.
Yeah, 100%. I think in terms of fantasy relevance, Wan'Dale Robinson, a lot of guys will have picked him up this week. I know he was a hot target on waivers. For me, he's probably going to do well, but I've been really impressed with tight end Daniel Bellinger. Saquon Barkley's been limited in practice the past 2 days. He'll play. It's his shoulder injury. He'll probably be out, but I don't think he'll be out for this game. I think there'll come a point where he needs to rest it. But for me, he'll be fine. We're looking good. That, for me, a good time to get the Jags. Let's see, moving on. Green Bay Packers going to the Washington Commanders. For me, it's the Packers again. Alan Lazard, like you say, you've got him in your startums. Yeah. I like Lazard there. I think that Rodgers hasn't really worked it out who his favoured wide receiver is. With Cobb out, it's going to be Lazard for me this week. So the Packers, nice and easy.
Packers all day long.
Yeah, I'd love to see Brian Robinson have a big game. Just for my fantasy team, get me back on track.
Not going to happen.
Good old Freddie. Next one, New York Jets. They've been brilliant against the Denver Broncos. For me, this is another mismatch. Jets, away win, a win on the road. The Jets have looked good. Are you in agreement?
Yeah, Broncos, it's just, when they play at home just now, it's almost a disadvantage because it's really gotten quite toxic this season. Yeah. Jets, as you said, absolutely flying. So I think they'll comfortably win that one.
Yeah, I think we'll be looking at an empty stadium in Denver soon. They absolutely hate this team. And Russell Wilson has looked terrible. See these Subway adverts? I cringe every time I see them. I think we should do a wee sort of video on it. I think I'll get something up my sleeve for that. We'll see how that goes. But no, I'm absolutely hating the Broncos this year. Sorry if you're listening, Ali. Houston Texans at the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I don't rate both these teams very highly, but I think it'll make for an interesting game. Fantasy relevance players, I am looking at the Houston Texans and I'm thinking there that Dameon Pierce is going to run all over the Raiders. The Raiders. So yeah, I'm going to go the Texans for this one.
I'm going to go the opposite. I'm going to go Raiders to win. I think several times throughout this season I've predicted Raiders to win and they've not delivered, but I don't think there'll be much between the teams. I just think the likes of Raiders have got to produce sometimes. I think Devontae Adams could be a big one this weekend, so I'll go the Raiders.
Yeah, nice. Let's see, moving on, the Kansas City Chiefs at the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to go the
Yeah.
Chiefs for this one. I think they've looked good.
Yeah.
It also looks like OBJ is going to land there. In fact, it probably won't be done before the weekend. It looks like he'll be back week 10. But Travis Kelce and his brother, the Eagles, have got a podcast together. They're maybe not as good as ours, mate, but he was saying that he restructured his contract, so he got like the bulk of the contract just paid up front, which opened up some cap space. And he was saying that basically when that happens, they're opening the gate to get somebody else in. Now, all the talk has been that OBJ is going to come back. I think he's been linked with absolutely every single team in the country. But
Yeah.
his brother did ask him, is it OBJ? And he said, no, I've not heard anything in the locker room, but I wouldn't rule it out. So another weapon in that offense. I'm really loving the Chiefs. That game against the Bills was brilliant. I don't know if you caught it while you were away,
Yeah.
but
I
I'd go
just seen
back
the
and watch it.
highlights. I seen the highlights. Chiefs, as we said, just came up short in that game, but we've been impressed with them pretty much all season, bar a couple of games. So fancy them again to win. Mahomes just elite, isn't he? So, and their offense just look really, really strong with plenty of strings to the bow. So, I fancy them.
Nice. We're in agreement there. Next one, the Seattle Seahawks away to the Los Angeles Chargers. I'll let you go first here because I can't make my mind up. I'm not quite
I
sure.
was torn between the two of them. As we said earlier, I've played down the Seahawks all season, but I'm going to go the Chargers, and I think Keenan Allen back will play a big part in that. I think just a huge presence in there. So I'm going to go narrowly Chargers to edge that.
Yeah, the Chargers have been quite underwhelming this year, and I think it is a lot to do with the miss of Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
I'd love to go the Seahawks here, right? But I'm going to go with you on this one. I'm going to go the Chargers. I like the thinking behind Keenan Allen being back. I like them having all their weapons in offense. Austin Eckler is really getting going now. He's winning games for folk in fantasy football. I think anyone who owned them the first 3 games would have been like, oh, should I look to trade? But no, Chargers for me. Austin Eckler's going to have a blinder there. Moving on, your Miami Dolphins are at home to the Pittsburgh Steelers. We spoke about it earlier. Two have been back.
Only one winner there. One winner there.
Yes.
Dolphins. Two is back. You've got the Cheetahs really pudding. You get a Waddler. I can see nothing other than a Dolphins win.
I'm going to go with you there. Dolphins at home. The Steelers for me look absolutely terrible. They don't know what they're doing at quarterback. Najee Harris, fantasy football flop or bust, should I say. Wide receivers, it looks like Chase Claypool's getting a few eyes looking at him to be traded, which only really leaves Deontay Johnson, for me, is the only fantasy relevant player in that Steelers team at the moment. In terms of Miami Dolphins, you've got players all over the field there. Gesicki might be getting traded away, actually, before that trade deadline, so that's another one to keep an eye on. But rounding up the scores for this week, the late game, which is shown live, the Chicago Bears are at the New England Patriots, and the Patriots have got a guy who you nicknamed Bailey Nzappe. He's been brilliant. Who would have seen this coming? Patriots at home to the Bears, Shug.
I'm going to go with Patriots here. I think the Bears got a couple of wins, but they haven't been great. I don't think either team's great, to be fair. But I think I can't see the Bears winning that.
Neither I. I'm going to stick with you on this one. The Patriots, Jacoby Myers, they have a big game. Ramondre Stevenson as well. Good few fantasy relevant players there. And a few folk will be thinking about picking Zappe up. I'd maybe hold off. You usually get these sort of inexperienced quarterbacks coming in, and it's that consistency that you've got to keep an eye out for. I know we spoke about Taylor Heinike earlier in the show. He started like a house on fire last year for the Redskins when they were called that. The Washington football team last year. We're going to get put off there. And he fell off a cliff as well. It's one of the things, just sustained consistency, that performance over time. But no, we'll both go the Patriots on that one. The Bears, it's not really going to be their year. Justin Fields is getting going, but not really fantasy relevant just yet. So anyway, that rounds up all the scores, and it's been good live. We'll round up the questions that I've got here. Another one from Jeb Armstrong is saying, I've also been offered Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, Gabe Davis, and Michael Thomas for Jonathan Taylor. Now that sounds like Toasty might be in his league as well.
Aye.
And I'd maybe take that.
I don't know. I'm always sceptical when it's and don't get me wrong, I throw them out all the time, but when it's a quantity over quality one, I don't know if I'd take that, to be honest.
Yeah, for me, I'm kind of looking at that and I'm saying, right, maybe I take that, but I don't keep all the players. I try and look to trade some of them away.
Yeah.
So I'd be looking to take that and keep Aaron Jones, keep Gabe Davis, and then see what I can get for AJ Dillon and Michael Thomas, because someone will take AJ Dillon. Let's see down this. Black Jedi again. Would I?
There he is.
There he is, the Black Jedi. What if I swapped Walker with Pierce? I'm still not taking that. I think Pierce has done well, but on a poor offense. The Seahawks is a better team. I'm still sticking with King Kenny. Also, Toasty is in the comments again. The guy's an absolute pest, but he's saying put some respect in the name of George Pickens. I'm not having it, mate. The Steelers are trash. It's not their year, and I say that begrudgingly because I do like them as a franchise and a team, but it's not their year this year. They've got a bit of a rebuild on their hands.
Beat it, Toasty.
Get out, mate. Anyway, mate, it's been fun. Our first proper live one. Producer David pulling the strings. It's looked fantastic, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's looked tremendous. A lot of work went into this. It looks really good, really professional. So you've carried me the night, Kieran. I'm still a bit jet lagged, I think, but we've got through it.
The time difference between here and Lanzarote is a bit of a killer, eh?
Aye, definitely. I'm still climatising. My nose is peeling, so give me a break.
Your nose isn't peeling. You've not even got a tan. We'll be calling you Casper soon. Your face is as white as your teeth, mate.
I was too busy staring at my screen while your trades that you were sending me all week.
Yeah, they look good. You're turning into Pollock. But no, thanks to everybody that's tuned in, especially live. If you're new to viewing the podcast or listening, please subscribe to us, please like us, please follow us on whatever podcast app you use. This is why we do it. We've got plenty more stuff like this going. Hopefully going forward every Thursday night we'll come to you live. Let's see how it goes on the Mondays. That's more a bit of complicated setups. That's why we've not done that yet, but fingers crossed we can get there. But no, thanks to everybody that's tuned in and especially everyone that's asked the questions. That's been a bit of fun, eh?
Aye. Definitely adds a wee element to it, doesn't it? You can get the live stuff coming in. Maybe in future we can get trades coming in while we're recording.
Oh, I'm right up for that. I definitely am. But no, thank you to everybody. I hope you win in your fantasy league this week. I hope you get the trades you're after and go and con someone in the trade market. That's always good fun. But no, thank you very much. Goodbye.